What's going on, guys? About 6 weeks out from the meet here. Uh, Everything's going really well as far as the weights moving and how everything feels. But kind of just want to talk a little bit about, what everyone goes through throughout a meet prep is the amount of little nagging injuries that you get from time to time. And one of my favorite movies, The Program, is there's a line in there that's, the guy gets tackled, the running back in practice, and the coach comes over and he says, are you injured or are you hurt? And he asked him what that meant, and he said, if you were hurt, you can get back up and keep playing. If you're injured, you got to go see the doctor. And I think a lot of people find that they get to the point in powerlifting or within their powerlifting career that in order to be the best you can be for yourself, you have to be able to push through the little aches and pains that are going to come along with training, because they're going to happen. The stronger you get, the more pain you're going to get, and you got to stay on top of that, but you got to be able to also train around it and kind of convince yourself that it's not something that's going to hamper you from doing what you're doing. And especially me sitting at 6 weeks out, it's like I've already put in all the time and all the effort into the training. I'm gonna see it through to the end and work around any type of small injuries that I may have. And about 4 weeks ago, I popped a rib out squatting, and then from there, nothing too bad happened. I was able to still lift, as you guys have been watching, and still doing stuff. But the fact that the rib popped out on my left side, and I wasn't 100% aware of it, started to make my right side get tighter and caused a little bit of problems in my right shoulder. So over the last week or so, I haven't been able to really bench like I want to. I haven't even been able to kind of lift my arm straight up in the air. So I had to do some things to work around it and still get the work in and still go outside the scope of the actual gym and take care of it. And I think a lot of people get these little injuries and they just quit because it's not as easy as they thought it was going to be. It's like, oh man, I got a little bit of a pain. You know what, I'm just going to skip the meet and just not do it, or things aren't going the way I had planned, so let me just drop out and refocus. And to me, I think that's just a cowardly thing to do when it comes to these small little insignificant injuries, that if you do your due diligence and if you're smart enough to kind of tweak your program around it, you can work through it and you can get stuff done and still get work in and still be at your strongest you can be. It's just how you deal with that and how you cope with those type of things that are going to make you a good lifter or just make you a mediocre one, because you're never going to really know when it happens. You're never going to really understand, the scope of the injury. But it's these little adversities throughout training that make meet day that much better when you're successful and you've learned to walk around it. And for me, my biggest thing now is just get my shoulder fixed so I can bench. But on my bench days, I still go in and I still do work that I can do. This last week I did some reverse grip benches with shoulder saver, just because that's all I could do. And I just worked up to a heavy 5 there, a little bit of pain, but nothing I can't deal with. And learning to manage that, getting work done, getting massage done, going to see chiropractors, going to see all these people that help me rehab, and just kind of treat it like you're an actual athlete and treat it like you actually have a pair. You can't be scared of injuries. You can't be scared of these little things that can set you back. You just got to push through them and work around them, and that's going to make you a better athlete, and that's going to make you a better coach in the long run, being able to figure out these little tricks to continue to progress and continue to work. Because if you think you're going to make your whole lifting career without little injuries and keep quitting every time it happens, you're not going to make it very far. So just being able to fix those things and learning to kind of work around some of the nuances of what caused the injury and how I can prevent it next time, it's gonna make me that much of a better lifter. But if I just quit and just rest and take 2 or 3 weeks off and come back, I didn't really accomplish anything besides getting used to quitting and getting used to being crappy. And that's really not why I do this sport. I do this sport because I love getting better. I love figuring things out. I love pushing the envelope. My ultimate goal is to be the best in my weight class ever. And in order to do that, I know that I got to push through these little things and keep working. I didn't travel all over this country to come up here and get a little bit of a shoulder injury or pop a rib out just to quit. And I think that a lot of younger powerlifters, and even some powerlifters that just talk a lot, they get one little injury and they're done, and you don't hear from them ever again because they did a different sport, or they're just doing something different because they couldn't handle the adversity that comes with getting stronger and being good. They'll talk about it all day long, but until it actually happens, you'll never hear from these people because they just can't hack it. I'm friends with a lot of the higher ranking lifters, and we talk about injuries all the time, and you see it happen all the time. Guys blow their biceps out and they're back to training. Guys have knee injuries, they work around it. Shoulder injuries, find something else to do, continue to progress, continue to get better, continue to find new ways to make yourself better so that you can continue to push through these things. And I think there's a lot to not quitting. I think that carries over into life, into business, into everything else you do. You start quitting in the stuff you enjoy doing, then what are you going to do whenever it's stuff that you don't enjoy doing, when it gets hard? You're just going to quit, and that's just going to be your MO for the rest of your life. Quitting's the easy thing to do. The hard thing to do is to push through, find what works, and keep getting better at it. And I just feel like that quitter loser mentality just seems to be contagious around here these days. So I hope this helps. Thanks for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, guys, take care.